Making headlines this hour, President Yamin conveys greetings and good wishes to the King and the Prime Minister of Bhutan on the occasion of the National Day of Bhutan. Foreign Minister sends a message of condolence to the government and the people of Chile following the loss of life and devastations caused by the mudslides. And Rahul Gandhi takes charge as the President of the Congress Party, handing him a freer rein to prove if he can mount a credible challenge to dominance of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome you all to PSM News in English. I'm Zinat Hassan here with the news in details. President Abdullah Yamin Abdul Gayoom conveys greetings and good wishes to the King and the Prime Minister of Bhutan on the occasion of the National Day of Bhutan. In his message to the King Jigme Khesar Namgyel Wangchuk, the President conveyed hope for further strengthening of the existing relations of friendship and cooperation in the coming years for the mutual benefit of the two countries and their peoples, as well as for the security and progress of the SAARC region. In a separate message, the President expressed confidence to Prime Minister Leon Sionchar in Togbay that through goodwill, dialogue and reciprocity, the friendly ties between the Maldives and Bhutan will continue to foster and would be conducive to advancing the common bilateral visions and upholding the commitments of the SAARC Charter. The National Day of Bhutan marks the coronation of Young Wangchuk as the first monarch of Bhutan on 17th of December 1907. Furthermore, Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Muhammad Asim also conveyed greetings and wished progress and prosperity to the King, government and the friendly people of Bhutan on the occasion of the National Day. Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Muhammad Asim sends a message of condolence to the government and the people of Chile following the loss of life and devastation caused by mudslides. In his message, the Maldivian minister noted that prayers of the Maldivian government and the people of Maldives are with all those affected in the disaster. Chile has declared a disaster zone at the site of a small village that was destroyed by a mudslide, leaving 5 people dead and at least 15 missing after a night of torrential downpours. A video taken from a helicopter by Chilean police showed a vast swath of this remote town of Villa Santa Lucia near Chaitén in coastal Patagonia, buried beneath the mud as the landslide bluffed its way down a flooded river valley. Authorities said that 4 Chileans and a male tourist whose name and nationality have not been disclosed were killed in the mudslide. Rescue workers were continuing to search through the debris for at least 15 people. Minister of Fisheries and Agriculture Dr. Muhammad Shaini reveals that the application opportunity for loans to install ice plants on fishing boats would be open next week. The Fisheries Minister made the statement while addressing the official function held to celebrate the 37th National Fishermen's Day held in Ihavandu of Halif Atoll. Addressing the official function held to celebrate the 37th National Day of Maldives, Minister of Fisheries and Agriculture Dr. Muhammad Shaini revealed that the administration is implementing a trial phase to install of ice plants on fishing boats. Fisheries Minister Muhammad Shaini stated that one such system is the nanotechnology fish freezing system, which is being tested for compatibility in the Maldives. The Fisheries Minister revealed that the administration is working on ways to tackle hurdles and challenges faced in the Maldivian fisheries sector. In this regard, Minister Dr. Shaini stated that 12 ice plants would be installed across the country by June next year. Minister Shaini highlighted that the ministry is working to maintain the price of fish and fish products at a steady amount. Labour Relations Authority of Maldives reveals that a total of 318 employment-related cases have been filed so far this year. According to the statistics released by the authority, most of the cases filed were regarding employee salaries and allowances. In addition, cases were also filed regarding annual leave and pension at the authority. The authorities said 267 cases were addressed so far this year, which is about 84% of the total cases filed. Furthermore, Labour Relations Authority, which is mandated to oversee the compliance of the Employment Act and its enacted regulations, conducted 285 inspections across the country so far this year. Minister of Environment and Energy Tariq Ibrahim reveals that a roadmap on energy resources would be launched next year. The Environment Minister made the statement at the unveiling ceremony of the data book on the statistics of energy resources in Maldives. Environment Minister Ibrahim Tariq noted the efforts of the government to provide sufficient energy and resources to all parts of the country. The Island Electricity Data Book unveiled by the Minister includes information on electricity conditions in the islands. In addition, the data book also includes information on the amount of electricity generated in islands, communities and resorts. The data book sheds light on the achievements of Maldives in producing renewable energy within the last decade. As per information in the data book, a total of 628 gigawatts of electricity was used in the year 2016. Maldives, being a nation consisting of small isolated islands, faces major challenges due to the lack of resources and services. Therefore, Maldives has been majorly dependent on the imports from foreign countries. One such major importer is Malaysia, which has strengthened its collaboration with Maldives in trade and commerce over the years.
As per the latest statistics of Maldives Customs Service, Malaysia is ranked 5th highest importer to Maldives, with a total import value of $117 million in the year 2016. So far this year, goods worth about $156 million were imported to Maldives from Malaysia, which is an increase of 30% compared to the year 2016. The statistics shows that most of the imports from Malaysia include wood, marine gas, health sector equipment and electronics. Malaysian imports contribute to about 7% of the total goods imported to Maldives.
The second large C919 passenger jet made in China takes off in its trial flight in Shanghai.
The Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China, COMAC, said a total of 6 C919 planes will go through trial flights, with one conducting the trial flight focusing on the dynamical systems involving the engine and the fuel and hydraulic systems. The first C919 completed its first trial flight in May this year and made its first intercity flight from Shanghai to Xi'an in mid-November. The Shanghai-based C919 manufacturer, COMAC, has received 785 orders for C919. With a standard range of 4,075 kilometers, the C919 jet is comparable to the updated Airbus 320 and Boeing's new generation 737 plans.
The son of India's most favoured political dynasty, Rahul Gandhi, takes charge as president of the Congress party, handing him a freer rein to prove if he can mount a credible challenge to the dominance of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Rahul Gandhi hit out at Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Nationalist Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP) for trying to spread fire of violence across India, as he formally took over the reins of India's main opposition, Congress Party. Accepting the position of party president with utmost humility, Rahul told the gathering of Congress workers that many people were delusionized by politics of today, as it was devoid of kindness and truth. In a long-awaited move, Rahul, the great-grandson of India's founding Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, was elected unopposed to head the party. He will succeed his mother Sonia Gandhi, the party's longest-serving president, who was elected in 1998. The Nehru-Gandhi family has ruled the country for most of its 70 years since the independence from Britain. Rahul's father and grandmother were both prime ministers and both assassinated. Following the defeat of Congress in the 2014 polls, Rahul struggled to convince voters, as well as many within his party, of his leadership skills. Modi's deception of Rahul as undeserving prince has helped sideline him since the last national election, during which time Congress has suffered some of its worst results in local elections. Party workers gathered in huge numbers at Congress headquarters in Delhi and office in Mumbai and burst firecrackers and danced to drum beats to celebrate Rahul's elevation. Gandhi is widely seen as a prime ministerial candidate if the party returns to power one day. The 47-year-old has increasingly gone public in slamming Modi's governance since the last national polls, as he looks to shed the reticent image that has been for years synonymous with his political dynasty.
A Pakistani expert reveals that Pakistan and Afghanistan should evolve bilateral mechanisms to crack down on terrorism, as terrorists are still carrying out attacks with their support bases still intact. Director of the Pak Institute for Peace Studies, PIPS, Amir Rana, made the remarks in an exclusive interview with China's Central Television in Peshawar.
This is the 3-year anniversary of the Taliban massacre, which happened in the Army Public School in Peshawar on December 12 in 2014. Militants slaughtered more than 141 people, including 132 children. The school heavily reinforced security measures following the massacre. Parents have to park their cars far away from the school every day in order to reduce the possibility of an explosion. Photos of the 141 killed students and teachers are posted on the wall of the main intersection to the school. Director of Pak Institute of Peace Studies, PIPS, Amir Rana, said schools, hospitals and mosques are places commonly full of people, which makes them most vulnerable places of terrorist attacks.
One factor that they had relocated their networks on other side of the border, and they are managing these attacks, and their support bases are still intact here in Pakistan.
Rana said that because a lot of militants have fled into Afghanistan, Pakistan and Afghanistan should enhance intelligence cooperation so as to crack down on terrorist organizations like the Taliban. The expert noted that most of these groups are now located in Afghanistan, and authorities have to involve some bilateral mechanisms to address the common challenges.
We need to not only go for the support network, but we have to need to make better coordination among intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies. This is one of the component I think we have to concentrate in our future strategies.
Migrant charities, rights advocates and concerned citizens march along the French Riviera, calling on authorities to allow migrants to enter France from Italy.
Around 500 people from Royal Valley and cities including Paris expressed their solidarity with migrants who charities says risk their life to cross the border by sea or dangerous highways. The protesters were demonstrating ahead of International Migrants' Day on December 18 and called for more facilities to accommodate asylum seekers. Migrants who successfully cross the Mediterranean Sea from places such as Libya to southern tip of Italy often go north to a place called Ventimiglia, from where they try to slip across the border into France. In France, many end up in Roya Valley despite strict controls on some land borders. A charity in Roya Valley said that documented 20 deaths of migrants crossing from Italy to France, either by drowning, getting hit by trucks on highways, or getting electrocuted in train tunnels. Though it is known that the sea crossing from Libya is dangerous, less is documented about plight of migrants illegally crossing land or sea borders with Europe. Arrivals of migrants from Middle East and Africa remains a major concern across Europe, where political leaders are under pressure to reconcile humanitarian imperatives with water worries about jobs and security.
At a makeshift refugee center in the Bulgarian capital, Sofia, hundreds of asylum seekers are waiting for opportunities to move further into Western Europe in order to start a new life after enduring long journeys from Turkey to one of Europe's poorest countries.
Despite the cold winter season, many refugees have crossed the border from Turkey to Bulgaria since the beginning of December. According to Bulgarian Interior Ministry, there are currently about 2,300 asylum seekers within the country. The refugees have been living in 6 centers across the country. Many of them are now simply waiting for official refugee status and chance to move further into Europe. In Sofia, a school-turned-refugee center jointly run by Bulgarian government and the United Nations Refugee Agency has received more than 180 refugees since 2013. The center said 65 of those living here are children. The classrooms on the first floor of the school's main teaching building are now being used either as a place for children to play or as dining rooms for the families. Those on the second floor have been turned into rooms of refugees to sleep. Syrian refugee Fatima arrived in Sofia 3 months ago with her husband Aziz and their 1-year-old daughter. The family walked all the way across the border from Turkey, and upon their arrival, Fatima was more than 8 months into her pregnancy. About 1.5 months ago, she gave birth to her child at public hospital near the refugee center they would later be moved into. Her husband Aziz said although conditions at the center are basic, they are much better than the realities in Syria. Like many other refugees, the couple were able to get temporary registrations to stay in Bulgaria because eventually they want to reach Western Europe to find employment and start a new life. According to the manager of the center, once a refugee has official status in one European country, they can go elsewhere within the continent for up to 3 months at a time, after which they are obliged to return to the country they were registered. But if the application for refugee status is rejected, the refugee has to be repatriated to Turkey. Aziz's document is valid for 6 months, and the family has 3 chances to apply for refugee status. Despite the uncertainties about the future, there was laughter inside the refugee center as local government and volunteers tried to organize various recreational activities for families, especially the children. Inside another room on the second floor, a volunteer was teaching 2 children who just arrived to play musical instruments so that they could join the children to perform at the New Year Gala to be held at the refugee center.
Cristiano Ronaldo scores with a free kick, which went through the defensive wall to break Gremio's brave resistance and give Real Madrid a 1-0 victory over the South American champions in the Club World Cup final.
Cristiano Ronaldo's 53rd minute strike gave Real their 2nd world title in a row, the 3rd in the last 4 seasons, and ended Gremio's hope of pulling off what would have been a huge upset. The European champions, enjoying the backing of most neutrals at the Zayed Sports City Stadium, dominated as expected, with 20 shots on goal to Gremio's 1, but the much more limited Brazilians still made their lives uncomfortable. Overall, it was the Spanish club's 6th world title, as they also won the old Intercontinental Cup, now recognized by FIFA 3 times. Real also extended the European dominance with 10 wins out of 13, since the club was started in its current form in 2005, reflecting the region's financial dominance in the sport. The dynamics of modern football means that the best South American, Asian and African players line up against rather than for the teams for their own continents, and Real's side included Brazilians Marcelo and Casemiro. Gremio's coach Renato Portaluppi won the Old International Cup as player with the same club in 1983, when his 2 goals gave them a 2-1 win over Hamburg SV, but a repeat never looked on the cards. FIFA President Gianni Infantino had admitted that the tournament needs a revamp and wants to replace it with a new one featuring up to 24 teams.
A 15,000-year-old skeleton of a woolly mammoth is auctioned for $643,900 in the French city of Lyon.
Standing more than 3 meters high, the complete skeleton was brought by Strasbourg-based construction company Soprima, who sells a coating product called Mammoth. Art experts Eric Mackler said the extinct giant of the Ice Age has 2 gleaming 3-meter-long tusks that weigh a combined mass of 160 kilograms. It fetched a record price for mammoth skeletons, beating the last scale of $370,000 in Paris 10 years ago. Soprima will be displaying the skeleton in its headquarters in Strasbourg.
With that, we conclude the news for this bulletin. Thank you for joining us.